Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. Hello, I love discounts. Life outside the cookie cutter. I love the name. Good morning. Hello, Tinkerbell. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name is Tracy, here with my husband, Noel, and we are on week 25 of our live seller collection series. So, Josie's Junk in the Trunk. Good morning. So, today, we're talking about metrics today, and of course metrics are my absolute favorite thing to talk about. But we're going to talk a little bit about theory and then a little bit more about actual metrics. How can we improve certain things that we want to monitor? Good morning, Lori. So before we do that, let's do some of our normal housekeeping stuff. Happy Friday. I know it's going to be a good day today. I am going to a different to an antique store yesterday, tomorrow, that I found last weekend but didn't have time to stop at. So I'm really excited that it's Friday and it's about to be the weekend, because I do the majority of my sourcing on the weekend. So to me, there's nothing better than shopping all weekend. Hello, Southern Charm. Hello, Kate. I know it's going to be fun. All right, tonight, you guys, I have a raid train. I have 3 shows today. What was I thinking? I don't know, but we have this one. Then at 6 o'clock, we have the raid train where it is pre-listed. This is, of course, I forgot the name of it already. The Golden Crew raid train. 3, I know. We have the Golden Crew raid train, 20-minute raid train, but y'all, in my head, for some reason, I thought it was a 40-minute raid train. So I took enough pictures and have enough items for like a 40-minute train. And then they put the final list out yesterday, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, it's only a 20-minute train. So I have way too many items for the train tonight. They are pre-listed, though, if you want to see. We have some butter pats, some really cool stuff, but those are pre-listed if you want to get in your pre-bids. And then tonight we have our tax show, which I'll talk about later. So our normal 7 p.m. tax show tonight. Tomorrow morning is the Glowy Glass show. People are already, there's some really cool stuff. We're getting a ton of pre-bids in there already. So if you love Glowy Glass, I love discounts. If you like Glowy Glass, we have just a really, really good variety tomorrow. I have pre-listed only 25 items, about that, I don't know, 23, 25, something like that. And the rest of them are going to be random. So you'll have to come and be surprised and see what the rest of it is. I know, all of us old people, I feel old sometimes. In my head, I'm young, but I feel like my body feels old. My head feels very young. And yes, so Glowy Glass tomorrow. And the big ticket item tomorrow that is pre-listed, so you could put your pre-bids, is a Amberina fairy lamp. Beautiful Amberina fairy lamp. So, gotta check it out. Gotta go in there and see it. I need to dress up. I don't dress up. I don't. Remember, that is my whole thing this year. I am not doing trains where I dress up except for Halloween. Here's the thing. I would dress up, and I'm okay to come on, but I cannot stay in character. I cannot do that. I know. I just can't. I'm just going to be me, selling some cool stuff for 20 minutes, not 40 like I thought. But I look at it like this. Everything I took the time to take pictures of and pre-list, it's probably going to end up being used next week. So I'm just doing work ahead of time for my Monday, Wednesday shows of anything I don't have time to get to tonight. So I'm just going to say that I got ahead instead of being like, girl, you just messed up. CEO Challenge. So I'm going to mention this again later on, but the CEO Challenge Season 2 is in July. Applications close on Tuesday, so less than a week to get those final applications in. Good morning, Tober. So if you want to be part of the CEO Challenge, DM me and you can I'll send you an application and you get it in by midnight. We will be announcing next Friday who our next 6 CEO people participants are. So even if you're not interested but know somebody who may be, please feel free to pass along the information, have them DM me, and I will get them an application. So I am really excited about this. We're making some changes this season. And I Love Discounts is going to join with me for our Monday night shows. So at the end, we're going to do a little bit more of a review on what went well, what maybe could have some improvements. And we're going to play good cop, bad cop. And I get to be the good guy this time. So I'm really excited about this season, and I cannot wait till next week when I can get to announce all the new contestants. Vintage Hive, hello. Swan and Thistle, thank you guys for sharing the show. I really appreciate that. I can't do it trying to look at something for another show and getting. Oh, I know. Usually I'll just try to remember and then go back and look at something because I always get kicked out. So, thank you, Southern Charm. Okay. PA Meetup. Still no more additional news, but I'm going to keep mentioning it every Friday until we get there. If you are interested in being on like an email list to get information as it occurs, you can go to my website. It's the same name, zoestreasures.com. And there is a PA Meetup tab. And you just kind of scroll down, put your name and email in there, and you will be on the list so that you will get the information as soon as it is released. As soon as I know it, you will be updated. So if you're interested, it is open to buyers and sellers, not just PA. Anybody who feels like traveling and being there is welcome to come. We are going to have some great speakers. So Dragonfly Neen, I Love Discounts, Green 13, and Zoe's Treasures are all going to be speakers, and we may have a few others still working on those details. So the Vintage Gypsy Breed, good morning. It is going to be in the Harrisburg area. So around Harrisburg, easy to fly into, tons of hotels there. And that is everything we have for, there we go, September 26th. And a lot of coming soon, a lot of working on it. Good morning, the Aaron Sphere. And if you'll see the speakers, you can also link to their profiles. And if you scroll all the way down, Shop Happy, good morning. You can put your name and email, and you will be updated as soon as I know any more information. Good morning, Liz. All right, let me get all these birds off the screen. Oh, thank you so much. This is my standard one. I've had this same necklace for about 20 years that I wore. I've gone through probably 10 chains in that time. But my diamonds is kind of my little signature piece that I wear all the time. However, we were at, where were we? The antique store, and they have like a whole little jewelry store after the antique store last weekend. And I found a uranium glass necklace. So my husband bought that for me. I'll probably wear that tomorrow during my glow show. It's pretty neat. It's a little green, obviously uranium glass, little green necklace. It looks like a kind of a teardrop shape. It's really pretty. Good morning, Leslie's Gems, Joanne, Crystals, hello. All right, before we get into our topic, you guys, Crystals and I were in a show yesterday. You called dibs on that in the will. I Love Discounts. Next time you come, they had like 2 or 3 of them. We'll just take you there. Oh, I can't say your name. Okay. CVC there, Crystals. Her and I were in a show yesterday. Hello, CG. Good morning. We were in a show, and it was a brand new seller. And bless her heart, like she was really trying. She was, I mean, when I'm talking brand new, I'm talking like, I don't know, Crystals, if you remember, like 25 sales, doing a seller support. There is nothing wrong with putting yourself out there. I applaud people for putting themselves out there. But it's really hard to give advice if you haven't been around for a little bit, like more than a hot minute, right? More than 10 shows. Like it was very difficult. And I mean, Crystal and I were messaging back and forth a little bit. And I don't know how, I'm trying to say this in the most politically correct way. A lot of the information was incorrect just because there wasn't experience behind it. I really encourage new people, if you're going to do a show, there's nothing wrong with doing a chat show, but maybe do it more of oh, were you there, Liz? Okay, I didn't see you, so you must have been in there kind of checking it out too. Maybe 59. Okay, I think she was just trying to gather with other new people, but fell into the advice trap. Yes, that's... Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was a hot mess. So I just encourage you, if you want to do a chat show, there's nothing wrong. You know who did it really, really well was Daisy Lane. When she first started, she did a, hey, come on my journey with me show. And she would talk about her week and what she did, what she learned that week, what went well, what didn't go well, what her plans were for the next week. It wasn't so much a seller support. It was more of, I want to build a community. I want to get to know people. It's really hard if you put yourself out there. And I'm not discouraging people, but I want to understand the opposite perception of it is, she had two people in there who were experienced sellers trying to give her advice, and she was completely ignoring it and like not arguing with it, but it was almost like we shouldn't have been giving her advice, and we were really nice about it. We weren't being mean or rude or obnoxious or anything like that by any means. But think about the other side. If you're brand new and you're giving advice that's incorrect, and Shop Happy, I agree too. I like Daisy Lane Show. I try to catch them. Unfortunately, they're usually when I have to work, but I still try to tune in. If you're giving advice and it's incorrect, that's your reputation right from the get-go. So that's your, thank you. Josie's junk in the trunk. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. So that's your show, your rules. Don't let your chat boss you or dictate. Exactly. So if you're going to set up your reputation as having incorrect information at the beginning, and I don't think she tried to give incorrect information. I think it was one of those instances of you just don't know what you don't know, right? I saw a new seller do a chat show where she asked for advice. That's wonderful. Come on and say, hey, I'm new. What can you teach me? Let's talk about shipping. What tips can you give me? I love that. And co-hosted. See, there's ways to do it. There's ways to be brand new and do chat shows without hurting your reputation in the beginning. So Red Rooster, we had the same issue up here. It was well intended, but the result, exactly. And even so, I'm 2.5, almost 3 years in, and there's things that I'm like, I don't know. Let's go look at terms of service, or because we're all still growing and learning. So it's not like anybody's this ultimate expert. Good morning, Crafting with Chris. But y'all get it. Just if you're brand new, and I think then too, as a community, those of us who've maybe been here a little bit longer could go in and try to help when we can in the kindest way that we can possibly do it. I did message her after the show. I sent her a really nice message. Just saying congratulations on being on Whatnot and encouraging her. But I said, hey, just reach out to us. And I let her know that Crystals and I were both, had been around a bit and that we would be happy to help. Yeah, it was a lot of why can't I get people in my room type of thing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm not going to read the name because this was a red chat, so I'm going to protect the anonymity of the person. But somebody just said that they wanted advice about shipping, and they messaged somebody that they consider to be a larger seller, and in return they got a request for a Venmo payment before they would offer advice. We all know those are red flags. Most of us are like, no way. So I guess that's out there. That's the first I've heard of that. I don't know who the person was.
That is taking sales out of platform. You can report that seller.
Yeah. So we ain't doing that. That's right. Nope, we're not doing that. So, and it was red chat, so I am protecting that person's privacy, but that's the first I've heard of that. I'm not surprised. The bigger we get, the more we're going to see things like this. We just do what's right? Stay here, never leave. Exactly. All sales on platform, no matter what it is. All the subscription stuff where you buy something, then you got to put your credit card in. All of that is against Whatnot rules, on platform only. I love discounts. Did you learn something new in your shipping show? Please tell us. Please share what you learned. Really? Mandy, that's interesting because they preach community over competition. Yep. You guys, I am all for community over competition. We are a community, and there's no reason why we cannot be friendly with each other. But it's your business is your business. We are competitors. Everybody else in Vintage Decor, as much as I love most of the people here, we are competitors. That doesn't mean we can't be friendly and nice to each other. But it does mean that, I'm watching, I'm seeing what's hot, what are you doing, what's working, what's not working. Like, we are always looking and monitoring each other. Okay, a PWE profile that is a chef's kiss, and profiles can bundle with other items. So that's interesting. I love discounts that profiles can bundle with other items. I've always heard that they cannot. So that is really interesting. I've had people message and ask if I can watch their live and give advice. And I say I have to charge for that. But Well, but Liz, I think that's different because that could be an hour to 4 hours of your time plus the time to write up the advice. That's like a consulting type thing. That's not just, hey, can I ask you a shipping question? Like answering one question versus I'm going to give you some significant time and my expertise to watch and evaluate a show is two very different things. What are my thoughts about paid sponsorships? A seller I enjoy started with me over a year ago and now is paid sponsor just following the crowd. My personal opinion on paid sponsorships, and this comes from somebody who does not do them now, but I did do paid sponsorships in this show for probably about 4, maybe 5 shows, and then I quit. One, I don't think they're effective. I don't feel that they're an effective way, and even if there's 300 or 400 people in the room, to get your name out there. Real quick, 36 people here. How many people have actually followed somebody from a paid sponsorship? Paid sponsorship. You've been in a room, they've bought the gift card for the chat, bless the chat thing. Have you followed them? So just put a yes in if that's somebody that you've actually followed. We had 2 or 3, 4 yeses, a lot of no's. Okay, I think we're leaning towards the no's, maybe close to the middle line here. So I don't think they're an effective way. If you want to spend your marketing money that way, I mean, that's your business choice. From a seller perspective, here's why I chose not to do it. Now, other people may have different reasons. Go ahead. He wants to talk, but he should be in the bubble.
So you're gonna gain followers. That doesn't translate on people are gonna buy anything in your show. They're just gonna click the button to follow you. And if you do giveaways, hey, they're gonna go into your giveaways. But that doesn't translate necessarily that people are gonna go into your show and be supportive. Now, the other thing is, how expensive are those sponsorships? Because most of the time, you're just putting money into the persons whose show is to pay for those sponsorships. And do you really get your money's worth?
Yeah, do you get your money's worth? The other problem is Modern Elegance. Good luck today. I hope everything goes well for you. Thank you for stopping by. It should be a requirement. I love discounts. I tell him that all the time, and he's just refusing. The reason I stopped, and other people may have their reasons. My reason is that I stopped, and I wasn't doing it to get a lot of profit out of it. I think I was doing a $10 Amazon gift card for like $14, like just enough to cover the stamp that I would have to mail something to somebody and like the fees. Is that a seller did tell their sponsor giveaway or an $8 profile audit. Everyone did the audit because it gave way more exposure than an ad. What Liz likes, I like that. The profile audit actually does give far more, and I would actually consider doing that, not in the way to really tear it apart, but instead of sponsorships, because I agree, it does give far more. When I was doing it, I quit because I feel that if I'm going to call somebody out, if I'm going to recognize somebody in my show, I want there to be meaning behind it, and not the meaning is not because they paid me. I want it to be because I've ordered from this person. I like the way they ship. I like the way they act. I like their show. I support them in some way. Like I have some true support and recognition of that person from my heart, not because they paid me money. I also felt, and I heard, I'm going to give a Reworker's Passion the credit for this because I heard it on her show, and she's the first one that made me start questioning my thinking was, what if somebody has different values than you or something you really don't like and they pay you for that sponsorship? You're obligated. And I did have that happen, not to the sense that I didn't like the person, I didn't even know them, but when I opened their profile to read it on out loud, they had a lot of beliefs and things that didn't jive with mine. And I stumbled over the words, and I had a very hard time promoting something that I just didn't agree with my values. And everybody can have their own values, but it's my show and I'm entitled to not promote the values that I don't believe in personally. So that's when I ended it. At that point, I'm like, it's just not worth it to me. So other than that, again, I don't think they're effective. If you want to pay for them, watch what you're doing. A lot of people are getting rich off of them. I was saying maybe not getting rich, but a lot of people are making money. I would really question the ones where you're doing a $25 gift card for like $100 or $75. You're really just putting money in that seller's pocket. You're having activity in their show. You're promoting more the algorithm for their show. You're almost doing more for them than you are for you. So just think it through on all sides of it. What about the seller? If I felt this, It felt like the seller is out for her, and yeah, and it could be. Look, there's some of them out there that is just money. It's just about a quick, easy way for them to make money. There's others that you can honestly see that they're doing it to really try to give that recognition. So it goes back to, how do you feel about it? How do you feel as a buyer, and how do you feel as a seller, and whether you want to do it? There's nothing wrong in terms of service. They're not breaking rules. So as long as they're not breaking rules, it's hard to say, oh, don't do it. I just choose not to. And when I see it, I just choose not to participate in it. So I will do it if we have a huge show coming up, like our 40K benefit show last November. I mean, I guess there's ways to do it. It's just not something that I'm going to be doing right now. I don't see a reason to do it. Use your socials instead of promoting. Yeah, I mean, you can use your social media. There's so many ways. Thank you, Taco Cat Lady. I appreciate that. In this economy, how are these people affording to blow that? Trust me. Oh, Shop Happy, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You didn't have to do that, but I do appreciate you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Would you rather sponsor a Givey in a... I'm sorry, my husband is driving me freaking insane. What comment would you like to me to read my joke? Y'all, can I fire him? Can I give him to one of you? Do one of you want him? He sits at, read the comment. I'm like, what comment do you, there's 50 comments. I just did. Thank you, my love. I'm gonna explode. Let's take a deep breath. You know, working with your husband is like working with that coworker that you really love to hang out with, but sometimes you need to go take a coffee break on your own. That's working with your husband. I know his sign language is this, and he's like, read the comment. I'm like, I'm reading the comments like I'm talking. So, all right, let me go back up here. There was a would you rather. Would you rather sponsor a Givey in a big seller room or promote your show? Would you rather? So you guys answer this. If you feel up to it, answer. Would you rather sponsor a Givey in a big seller's room? That's 1. Or promote your show is 2. So if you were in somebody else's room, what would you rather do? If those were your only 2 choices in this world right now. Promote. Look at promote is like winning that one.
It says she wouldn't even read it. She doesn't read the chat.
Yep. Promote. It looks like everybody would rather promote. Oh, we have one sponsor. Oh, you would do, Liz says I would do sponsor Givey because then I could pick the audience. True. I don't know which I just don't think neither one of them are effective. But if those are my only 2 choices, I would say promote because I'm cheap and I wouldn't want to go the free route. I think at the end of the day, promoting in a sponsor Givey is going to get you about the same results. You're picking the audience to promote too. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't promote. I mean, you got to think about it too. Fellow cheapies unite. Yes. See, I just want to go the free route. Take a look at this. Totally off topic, but this is cool. I like talking about it. Liz says, I wouldn't do either, but if I had to, you can work a chat. I don't like knowing how the promote is right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, paid promotion of your show through whatnot. Okay, so that changes it. Okay. So we've just changed the question here. Would you rather pay somebody else to sponsor a giveaway? Would you rather go into a big seller's room and do a blessed chat, or pay whatnot to promote your show? If those were the only 2 options. Let's try this again. Now that I'm reading it right and I got corrected. The algorithm that at least pushes people in who buy your category and gives them a chance to buy. Man, that's a hard question because I think still promote. Yeah, if I had to pick that, I would pick paid promotion, and I'm 100% against paid promotion. I do not think it works. Has anyone paid promotions actually have a positive result? I'd rather do a Givey. Sean, I actually did an experiment, and now there's 2 sides to this. This is purely my opinion based on the results that I got. Other people find different success with it. I did an experiment where I took 3 shows that I didn't promote, and then I promoted 3. I actually did 4 because I forgot to turn it off. Stupid me. 3 shows that I did promote, and I compared. I dug into the data. I dug into everything Whatnot gave me, and I found no benefit from it. I also found that the data that Whatnot gives is just put out there with no support behind it. So there is nothing to back up their data, which as an auditor, I question makes me then question the validity of the data.
So most of the people that are gonna tell you that the promotion works is because they don't dig into the data. They just go and see Whatnot is putting out there and is telling them, and they take that face value and they think, oh, it worked wonders, and it's not true. When you start digging and when you start making the comparisons, then you realize that. Yeah.
You have to be in the bubble if you're going to talk. Everybody says you have to be in the bubble. If they gave you $25, heck, use it. It's free money. I would use it at that point. I would have no issue at all spending their $25. You're going to give me something for free to promote. Go for it. I'm not going to spend my money on it anymore. The one time I paid promote, it only gave me more viewers, but the sales were the same. Now, I'm going to bring up Daisy Lane again, all in a great way. She is paying to promote, and she talks about it. She does a talk show on Tuesdays around noon, 11 noon, somewhere in there. And she's talked about how since she's kind of done her comeback and redesigned the way she does her shows, that she's been paying for promotions and she finds it useful to her. Again, it's going to depend on your own experience and what you feel is acceptable and the amount of data that you want. So I'm just going to tell you from my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. You're never guaranteed with a sponsor. Exactly. At least with the promotion, you do know that it's getting pushed out there. I agree with Crystals that you have a higher chance of having people in your room with the promotion than you do a paid sponsorship. Does Whatnot have some type of mechanism that picks up words being used in your show and pushes viewers? Every time I say Pyrex, I see a jump. That's a good question. If we have any community host in here that may know that answer, please chime in. I have not read anything about that. I wouldn't be surprised. The technology certainly exists. It's mainly activity. Is it that you're running Pyrex? More people are bidding, more chat going on. Like if your room is starting to get hyped up because of what you're running, maybe it's the activity as the result, not necessarily the words you're saying. Clicking in. I think it's more, that's what Liz likes too. So basically it's the activity that's happening. It does red light certain bad words, but they're typed. So the action of reading a word, because that can be programmed in, is a little bit different than the AI listening for words. Yeah, and that's a good point. To monitor all those shows at the same time may be difficult. Alexa sure does listen. They can't hear you unless they see you. That's it. You don't have a voice. That's me making you go blacked out, that they can't hear or see you unless you're in the bubble.
Beware what you wish for, say the
He's going to
Chinese.
make my screen go black in a minute here. Don't give me ideas. I'm making a list now of popular products to random. I know. I'm just going to start every show every now and then. I'm going to be like, Butter Pat, Fairy Lamp. I'm just going to start saying stuff that's, B-Box, and see if people start flooding in the show. We should try it. Hens on Nest. All right, let's talk about, I have another question for you. If you're running a Pyrex as a pre-list item, then the algorithm is going to show you to people who, yes, not necessarily the keyword. So there you go. I agree with that. The Red Rooster is that it is searching those pre-listed items that you have. So I have a question for you, because we're going to talk a little bit about metrics today. So after your last show, for all the sellers, after your last show, just how do you feel your last show went? What's your gut feeling about your last show? Oh, terrible, okay. Great, I love to hear that. We finally got a great, went well. Okay, so we're all over the board. I sold the table twice. That's amazing. I love discounts. That is so great. Okay. What about based on the data? What does the data say how your show went? Same question, same people who answered. What does your data say? What did the numbers tell you about how your show went? Not so many people are answering it. I kind of expected that. Where do you see that? We'll talk about where you see it. So besides your analytics screen, you get an email from Whatnot, you get an analytics screen, and then you also have a finance screen. You can take all that information and then you can pull it together in different ways. We sold less than typical. We're only have 39 minutes, but your average order value is through the roof. So then this is the point I'm getting to. We could feel, feelings are not a business strategy. We could feel our show went like crap. We can feel like, oh man, I just don't feel like the show was active. I don't feel like this was happening or that was happening. But then we can look at our data and say, but you know what? Our average order value was pretty darn good. It was consistent, or maybe it was stronger, or maybe we gained followers, where we thought, oh, we had a really bad show, but we're trying to get more followers and we gained followers. Maybe there's some statistic in there, some data point that you're working on trying to increase that actually happened, even though your feeling wasn't great about your show. Sellers used to do clear the table, eye for beauty. That's pretty cool. I know I Love Discounts has been doing it. Thought my last show was off, but the data was spot on. Great. There you go. Daisy Lane is saying it exactly how I'm trying to word it here. I've had so many shows where at the end of the show, I'm like, it wasn't bad. I made sales. People were talking, but I didn't end the show on that high. Sometimes we end that show and it's just that adrenaline rush. And then I've gone and looked at my data and been like, everything's the way it should be. It was really a good show when I look at the numbers. So it's really to make the point that we can't base all of our analysis of our shows just off of feeling. I say a lot that we have to separate our feeling out from our analytics, and we really do. So shows are exhausting. Oh, yeah, and they can. Absolutely. I find myself after about the 2-hour mark, I can feel my energy for items going down. And then afterwards, it's just kind of like, okay. So I totally get it, Liz. Totally get it. Real quick, I want to recognize Swamp Chick Boutique just did a 10K. Was it 10K sales or 10K followers? Just celebrated 10K follower show. So congratulations, Swamp Chick. We talked about her last week. So I just wanted to circle back to that and say congratulations. Yeah, 2.5 hours. My shows are around the 2-hour mark, and this isn't so much about the data, but just in general. I know there's a general consensus of people say stay on for 2 hours. There's an uptick after 2 hours. Longer shows are great. Even Whatnot says stay on as long as you can, 4 or 5 hour shows. Don't feel bad if you can't. There are many, many of us out here. An hour and a half, 2 hours is our max. And we can't do any more than that, and that's okay if you are doing it consistently and you're showing up on time, you're not canceling, and you're doing it over and over and over again. You can build a successful Whatnot business without doing 4 or 5 hour shows. That's one of those things that get under my skin when I hear it, because I'm like, there may be truth to it. I'm not saying there isn't, but you don't have to do that to be successful. Shop Happy right there, very successful mini shows. Liz, 5-minute shows. Is that the one, Liz, where you sell one thing and then you raid out to somebody else? I think those are cool. How do I feel about imitation? I did a show yesterday and went into a fellow seller show, and she did many of the same things I did. One, be flattered. Lori, be flattered that they're doing, they saw something that you did that works. It's going to happen on the app no matter what. The minute somebody sees something that's successful, it's going to be copied. I do feel that if you're imitating somebody, we watch other sellers, learn from them, gather what's good and gather what's bad, but then take it and make it your own. If you were just flat out copying, it might not be against the rules, but just about like being ethical. It's not right if you were just flat out copying. Don't do it. But if you're taking something, if you're seeing something that somebody's doing that's working and it's doing it very well, and you do give a twist to it, make it a little bit different, make it yours, make it unique in a way that's just not the exact same. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's just growth. That's just not reinventing the wheel.
Funny you ask. We had a show about imitate or innovate on the reselling roundtable. And one of my points of view is that competition drives innovation. If you're just imitating someone, then that's not innovation.
Exactly. So, major retailers copy each other all the time. And here's a perfect example. I don't sell show notes for my show. I see Liz sell show notes. Almost every time I watch What Liz Likes show, I tell my husband, I'm like, that is such a good idea. Is there a way we could take that idea and make it ours? Make it a different idea. So something that I can incorporate more information from my shows and put out there that's not selling show notes because Liz does it. And I don't want to just say, hey, my show notes are for sale, because to me that is a pure copying that I don't want to copy. So how do you change it? How do you make it your own? I already had several sellers tell me they want to copy my one and done. I always say go for it. And there's certain things, there's certain things that are kind of like, hey, if you reach out, that's the other thing. That's the difference there. They've reached out to you and say, hey, I really like what you're doing. Would you mind if I do the same thing? Completely different story. I kind of like the one and done idea too. I would, if I were to do that for me personally, I wouldn't do the whole production. I would do a low tech for me, just my phone, sell something quick and move on. I kind of like that. I almost kind of like doing the one and done throughout the day, one and done on the hour. I may do that, like have certain days of the week where I do a one and done, at 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. So you're on frequently. Some of the shipping may bundle. I think that could be fun. Me too. The show note thing is awesome. And I did mention her about the one and done. Yeah, the one and done is pretty interesting. So there's a lot. Don't be upset that they're copying you. Look, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up the big old elephant in the room. And I know my husband's going to sit there and like, give me that eye. Like, don't you dare talk about it. You will see somebody selling a certain product or selling something, or they've created something, and then another seller comes and does it. Like Crystal says, their big chains copy each other all the time. If it's not the exact same thing that you're selling, be flattered. They're all, in a sense, the person secondary that's doing it is almost boosting up what you're doing even more. So if people copy you, you're doing something right. There you go. Pat yourself on the back and do it better or do something new. I feel that it pushes me to try to be more innovative. I feel it pushes me to be like, okay, that's kind of run its course. I've set the stage for that. It's run its course. Now let's do something else. What's my next great idea, right? When CG Boomerang Echo and I did the Big Cajonas Raid Train, we hadn't done it for 2 months, and already some other sellers were using the exact same scoring system that we were using. You know what? Because it was one of a kind. Nobody else had done that scoring system. And you know what that told me? Other people thought the scoring system was really darn cool. That means that we came up, CG and I together came up with a really cool idea that other people wanted to use. So, okay, let's keep talking. If you have other questions, please feel free to put them in there. I love answering the questions and getting other people's thoughts in the chat. Lori says, I agree, but the seller even sold the exact same items with their verbiage. It was weird. Yeah, Lori, I'm sorry. I'll tell you really quick, my personal experience with somebody copying, and it did get me mad. Look, we're territorial of our stuff, right? I don't care who we are and how nice we are, we can be territorial. I had a buyer that was a frequent buyer, and this was quite a while ago, in my shows. Never had a problem with the buyer. We didn't have any issues. They came in the shows. I thought everything was wonderful. They then became a seller, which is the normal course of business, and they copied my logo exactly. They just changed the name to their name. And it rubbed me the wrong way. It really got me mad. But then I had to step back. You remember that? I know. Then I had to change all my logos. I had to step back and say, well, first of all, the logo was on a public forum. I used Canva to get the basics of the logo. It's not trademarked to just me. There's nothing I can do, but I had people messaging me like, hey, I thought this was your show. That's how similar this was. And it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson to trademark my stuff, copyright it if it's that important, and to make mine unique enough that you can't just cut and paste. So, and what if your idea is used by so many it promotes an even bigger change, not just for you, but across the board? I mean, if you're asking that in a good way, I don't see what's wrong with it. You're a trendsetter. You're the original one. Now, where we can start to get our feelings hurt is when you know you were the original one and nobody gives you credit. And I think Aaron earlier in the chat said, as long as you're giving credit to the person that you copied from, which is big, like, because when you start seeing everybody else doing it and you're like, I'm the one who used that word. Like, I'm like, okay, the word show flow. I started using show flow multiple times in my Friday shows. And then there's another seller that does a lot of education and they used a different word, but then all of a sudden they started using show flow. Okay, I don't own the word. And you know what? The people who were with me knew that I was using it months before this person was using it. Does it really matter? Does it change my business at the end of the day? Does it hurt me? Not really. So, design a show that's hard to copy. Yeah. Like I Love Discounts as an earring show. It's a very unique format that I haven't seen anybody else do. At some point, people do know where it starts. It gets out there. Yeah, I totally agree. And then people who are arguing. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't affect my business, you guys, look, I've been struggling with this myself here. And we always say, don't compare. I've said it myself. Don't compare. You know, all these feelings that we have, we all go through phases of that. I've been in, like, for the last 2 weeks, a really bad spot of, you know, do I fit in? What about this? Where's this? I will see, I'm going to be completely honest. I feel very territorial over the accounting and tax on Whatnot. Like here in the vintage, you know, community, I feel very territorial. Does that mean that nobody else should come in and offer accounting and tax advice? Absolutely not. I have to be a big enough person to say, you know what, I need to just focus on my business and what makes me unique and what makes me different from the next person and not worry about if they're doing something that's similar to me. It's going to happen. This app is going to grow. But we're human, and it's okay to recognize you feel that way, and then it's what are your actions after you feel that, right? Thank you, I Love Discounts. Yep, take those feelings and suck it up and just keep moving on and focus on your business. St. Crystal feels the same way. She has kind of made a name for herself as being the person to go to for CSV training and when somebody else does it. But then I stop and think, how many people talk about shipping? Do they get territorial because somebody else talks about shipping? No. And you know what? Maybe there's an audience who may listen to me and totally click and understand and vibe with me and the way I explain things. And there's going to be an audience that clicks and vibes with the way somebody else explains the exact same concept. And I can't control that. So, yeah, when they do it bad, I cringe. I do. Crystals, that's where I get really territorial. It's like, okay, if you're going to give the information, just make it correct information. So, all right, let's talk about some metrics here. Let's talk about some metrics. So, I want you guys to think of your metrics like your car dashboard. You could drive your car, never look at your gas gauge, never look at your speedometer, and you're going to be fine. But eventually, you're going to run out of gas or you're going to get a ticket. One or the other is going to happen eventually. Your Whatnot Analytics is the same way. You can run your business all day long. You can be pulling money out, have money in your bank, be going along doing things just right. But if you never look at the dashboard, if you never look at your metrics, ultimately, it's going to run out of gas or you're going to get a ticket, right? Something is going to happen ultimately to trip you up. So you need to be monitoring that in some sense. When I'm doing my shipping and altering the box sizes and the weight, there's an amount down at the bottom, then it minuses out for 0. What is it? Upcycle, that is when you're using an adjustment. So if they show you an amount and then they do like minus, so say if it's $2 and then it says minus $2, it'll say adjustment amount. And then your free adjustments. You get 5 free adjustments a week. So Whatnot will cover 5 of those for you. So when it takes it down to 0, that means that you've used an adjustment. On the line where the minus is, to the left-hand side of that, you'll see like a 2/5, 3/5. So it'll count down how many you have used of your 5.
And when you run out, you'll start paying.
Yep. And then when you run out of adjustments, you pay. then you're going to get a pop-up box that says, hey, you're going to be charged for X number of dollars. Are you okay with this? And you have to hit confirm to say, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm going to be charged. Mandy, have a great day and good luck at the estate sale. All right. Some of the metrics that I want to focus on today, but we could talk about any others that you guys have questions about. Viewer count, even though I'm not a big believer that viewers are everything, I know that a lot of people do look at viewer count, so I want to talk about viewer count, average order value, sell-through rate, and repeat buyers. Those are the ones that I think are the most important. Again, I don't think viewer count's most important, but a lot of people feel strongly about it, so I included it here. I'm sure you've done this, but when is there a show to help us access and read all the different reports? Feel like I'm missing things. I have not done that, but I would be happy to set one of those up. And we can talk today about where to find some of them, but I would be totally happy to set up a show like that. I've done more than I've seen them making, and I'm still showing 0, but I'm not going over that. I'm going under. Then you're fine. If you're not going over, if you're not getting the pop-ups, I wouldn't worry about it. You're not being charged extra. You're allowed to use all 5. It's okay to use your adjustments. Regardless of what you may hear on the Whatnot streets, Whatnot gives them to you for you to use them. They're totally okay to use your adjustments. Nobody's gonna, it's not a red mark, Whatnot doesn't look bad at you, none of that. So, all right, so I'm seeing a lot of people are like, yes, we wanna see all the analytics screens. Let me kind of pull something together, pull some notes. I don't wanna do it off the top of my head because that's one I would wanna share my screen and do it like really right and walk through it. And I need to figure out a way to do it without putting all my numbers out there. So let me give it some thought and I will schedule it sometime soon. I wanna ask.
Thank you. That means more work for me.
It does. What I just said is technically means let me get my husband to figure out how to make this work and then we'll do it. So he should be able to do something. That's what's going on in the back of my head. I want to ask you, here's a would you rather. I love that Liz did a would you rather earlier because I have like 3 of them in my notes today. Would you rather be show A and sell 30 orders or show B and sell 55 orders? I know it's kind of a no-brainer. But do you want to be A or do you want to be B? Oh, I love discounts. You see, we think alike. This is why we're friends. We think alike.
That's a good joke, Trish.
Depends on the average order. There you guys go. The more detail you have, the better C300, the better you can make decisions for your business. So the next part of that would you rather question is, show A had 30 orders with an average order value of $20. Show B had 55 orders with an average order value of $11. $600 for show A, $650 for show B. So the revenue at the end of the day is not much different, but show B for $50 more. Let's not worry about cost. I love discounts. Show B, a lot more work, a lot more orders to pack, a lot more shipping supplies. So at the end of the day, you actually may have made less money than if you were show A. How many new buyers? Yes. So all these other questions that we're going to ask ourselves, and I love it because that's the way we should be thinking about it, about your data is it's not just, we get in these shows and what you hear, how can I get more viewers? How can I get more people to buy stuff? How can I get more orders? It's not always about having more orders, it's about what's underneath it. What is your average order value? This is a good time to talk about another talk show I listened to, another chat show. And I found this very interesting because this person was, and I'm not talking about this in any bad way, this person was talking about how they hit their 1K in a very short amount of time, which is great. It's that's good information. Let's share with some of the tips and tricks. But they actually said, hey, this isn't this is not for money making. I lost money. This is not net profit. I made 1K in it was like a matter of days, a very short amount of time, but all my efforts were just to get to 1K. I lost money the whole time. So it's really interesting you can't just look at one number. You've got to expand it to, what is your average order value? Did it create repeat buyers? All of these things, it's just, again, going back to your car dashboard, it's not just about how fast you're going. What are your goals? Thank you. It's not just about how fast you're going. It's, is there a check engine light on? How much gas do you have left? What's the temperature on the engine? All of those things help to the good running of your vehicle. The same thing is every single metric has its own place and use within your business. The stats on one and done are fire, but I'm not making enough. So stats matter, but income matters too. So Liz, I'm taking from that, and please don't feel like you have to share personal information. I am not one to push for people to share their actual like numbers, like net profits and stuff.
I have a question, Liz. How many shows have you done with the one and done?
So I'm taking from that people are coming in, that they're like instantly, because those shows have to be pretty quick. So people are coming in, they're liking it, you're selling whatever it is, but at the end of the day, once you account for all of the factors, the cost and that, you're like, okay, I'm getting recognition, people are stopping by, but I'm not making a lot of money off of it.
And the duration is not very long. So that doesn't allow for people to discover the show. So I still think 15 for 15 is still pretty new, and it needs a little bit more time to solidify.
I think 15 shows is a pretty good amount of data to draw some results from. So, question for everybody here. I have a full-on Cheers environment. Come hang out, no swipe, which is fine, but daddy needs a new pair of shoes. There you go. Cheers environment's only going to get you so far. At the end of the day, we're here to make money. We're here not just, oh, that's where I was going. This seller was talking about it wasn't profitable. It was all about cash flow. That they, and she said, this is a person who is educated in the accounting type world, finance world. So she speaks from some experience, but she really harped on the fact that cash flow is more important than profit. I would highly disagree. Cash flow and profit need to work in connection with each other, and both are vital for a successful business. You can have all the cash flow in the world and not be making a profit. So that's a whole nother show, but I had to talk about that. Highest average order value. Okay, so that's good. Lots of new buyers, great shipping time, but only selling one item. So at the end of the week, the check is small. So maybe if it's a $20 item, it's a great average order value, but what if you did more of them? So Liz, if you incorporated more, do you think it would have the same effect, or is the scarcity of doing it hit or miss, or just the times that you're doing it is what the draw is? That I would like to like investigate things like that.
Good morning, Shay.
So upcycle yours. What Liz has been doing has been coming on and doing one item. So very short, condensed show, one item. Once that item sells, she raids into somebody else. One and done. It's a very different concept than what we see typically on Whatnot. Good morning, Living Bliss Vintage. So I got a question for you guys. Since we're talking, that's the other thing, Liz. How often are you doing them? 15 sold out shows. There's something to think about. Yeah, there is a plus to all of that. Liz, yeah, how often, when do you do it? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So once a day, 4 days a week. Does it help to have things in the bin? I think it does. It's not absolutely necessary, but I think it does, particularly if people are paying full shipping. If it's buyer pays all shipping, they want to max out the price that they've paid for that shipping, and having some items in the bin that they can add to their box, I think helps with that. Do you have a loaded bin? I don't know if that question is for me or if we're talking about Liz's one and done show. I'm sorry, he's saying yes, but I just asked a question about two different things.
For Liz.
For Liz, yes. That's what I thought.
Vintage has the same question.
That's what I thought it was for Liz. So we'll wait and see if Liz has a loaded bin. We'll keep watching for her answer. In the meantime, I want to know from you guys, what are the one or two metrics that are most important to you? What are the one or two things that you focus in on your shows? It's meeting my goals. Say if your numbers look good, but you aren't making enough. Sometimes a hustle. Absolutely, Liz. I could not agree with you more. I do not have a loaded bin, don't have time to manage it, okay? I wonder if that would make a difference if you had 10 items in there or something for people to buy, who maybe don't want the one item, but like something else that you may have. So we have new buyers, average order value, average order,
Shay-
amount of auctions.
Shay, you're in big demand. People miss you.
Average order repeat. So we have a lot of average order, which is great. That's a big one. That's one of mine. Profit, sell-through rate. But then average order. We're going to talk about ideas on how to increase average order value. Just trying to build speed, okay? I would ask why, like, what is it on the speed? Why? Like how many items are you selling per hour now? Sometimes in certain categories, it's not necessarily about speed. So is that something you're finding that hurts you, and is that why you're changing it? So sell-through rate. So Daisy Lane says RPI, which is sell-through rate, and average minimum per auction. So average order value, or our total per auction, like total revenue per show. So we have a lot of average order rates. Our average order value, sorry. For those of you who don't know how to get your average order value, you take the total that you sold for the show, divided by the total items. That's your average order. What is the average that each item ended up giving you? So you may sell $3, $50, $80 to $80 items, but then maybe you sell 30 or 40 $10 items. You're going to take the average of that. Sell-through rate. So sell-through rate is, say you bring 100 items that you have for your auction, whether you list them or not. You have 100 items that you want to sell, and you sell 70 of those items. You have a 70% sell-through rate. So it's the number of items that you actually sell versus the total items that you brought to the table to sell that day. That's your sell-through rate. You want a 99 to 100% sell-through rate. Why? You don't want to bring it to the table and then have to move it back into your inventory and then bring it back out again. All of that is time, all of that is cost, all of that is space. So when we do a whatnot auction, what we bring to the table that day to sell, we want it all to sell. So the goal is to have as high of a sell-through rate that you can possibly get to. And there's ways to start to change that. Let's see, I probably misinterpreted. So average minutes per auction. So how long you're running each auction, okay, and how fast you're running, and the revenue per item. So average order value, revenue per item, okay. And paying attention to this data, here's the thing. There is research, it is called, I wrote it down, the Hawthorne effect. So there's a psychological thing behind the thought process of what you measure improves, what you monitor improves. It is a tried and true, proven from the 1930s, called the Hawthorne effect. Basically is that when people know that something is being watched or monitored, the behavior changes. So when you know in your business that you're focused in on your average order value, or the time it takes you to run something, or your repeat buyers, when your mindset is, I need to improve this number, you're going to pay attention to that number. You're going to, one, do things to change the number. You're going to monitor that number, and then therefore it will change. So this Hawthorne effect, when they did this experiment, when this kind of came, it came from an electric company, a Hawthorne Electric Company back in the 30s. And what they started doing was they wanted to know if changing the lighting in a room would affect worker productivity. Surprisingly, when they made it brighter, productivity went up. But at the same time, when they made the lighting dimmer, productivity still increased. So it was just the pure fact of changing something and watching it and monitoring it has an ultimate outcome on it. Now, there's a few flaws within the whole Hawthorne effect, like that experiment, but it's been proven time and time again. So how do we use that for us? And this is one of the big things we do in the CEO challenge is once you figure out what it is that you want to measure, the more you focus on it, you start thinking. Instead of your mind changes from, well, how can I make my show better? How can I get more viewers? How can I do this to, how do I improve? I'm just going to take average order value because that was one I saw almost everybody was put in there. How do I improve my average order value? So you remove yourself from the more is more type thinking, and you're like, okay, maybe I'll share how I did it. How did I increase my average order value? I actually decreased the amount of items that I was selling and increased the quality. Less quantity, more focus on quality. I went from 80 or so items to about 50 and made them more higher end items. I bundled more is a way to increase it. And that almost tripled my average order value. So, but I spent a good year and a half not focused on that metric. And it was like, oh, I'm just going to sell. I'm just going to sell. If I get more people in my room, my bids will go up. And this is the trap that a lot of us fall into is I need more viewers. And that way, if I get more viewers, I'll get more bids. No, maybe the 20 people you have in your room is all you need to increase your average order value. It's not about getting more people in your room. It's about doing what you're doing and doing it even better. Let's talk a little bit about some examples. I wrote ways to improve things. Hold on, let me just find that in my note. Here we go. Average order value. And you guys, if you have other thoughts on how to increase an average order value, if you've been successful at that, please share them if you're comfortable doing so, because I think it really makes a difference that we help each other out and it's not always just my thoughts and opinions. Let's see. We are, Living Bliss Vintage, we are all intrigued by Liz's one and done theory. I agree. As a new seller, my focus was all shipping. Now that it's done, I'm focused on better inventory and scheduling. And this is just it. It has to be one, maybe two metrics at a time. If you try to focus on everything at the same time, that's like a cook trying to cook 10 signature meals. It's not going to happen. You've got to focus on one or two things, fix that, get a system in place to maintain that, and then focus on the next thing. Business growth is slow. It's gradual. It's progressive. So it's, let's focus on average order value, and then let's focus on our repeat buyers, and then we're going to focus on this. And working up to my item quality. That's amazing. I think that's wonderful. Average order value increases when consistent quality of items increases. Absolutely. If you can only have a few bangers, everything else brings down the average. If you only have a few bangers, I'm on the fence with this because Liz, the reason I'm on the fence with this is the whole theory that Jeremy talks about anchoring the price in somebody's mind. And I've tried this in my shows. I can have a banger item and run it, or even maybe not super banger, but like maybe it's an okay hen on the nest and a great hen on the nest. I can run the great hen on the nest, like the more desirable one. And that's when people are getting, all worked up and crazy about, and the bids are going sky high and it's running. Arbitrary coherence. There's Green 13. It works both ways. Okay. Then I can run the other hen on the nest that maybe isn't as great, but I will see an increase in prices because it's anchored from the first one, the price on the first really great hen on the nest. So, but you say it works both ways. Okay. I need you to explain this more next time on your next show. Can you just talk about it the other way?
Thank you.
So, let's talk about average order value and increasing it. It depends on which way you want to apply it. Thank you. So some of the thoughts that I have on increasing your average order value, some of the things that I did, and when you look at it, you can have take the exact same number of items and make more money on them. So you can apply some of and this one I think is harder to do. You have 50 items. You can apply some of the same, storytelling. And I'm going to use Daisy Lane as an example here. Her items necessarily didn't change. She's been collecting antiques for years. She has a lot of great stuff. But the way she sells them changed, which then increased her average order value. She may have been a little more choosy on some of the items, so the quality may be a little higher on certain items, but it's the way that she has sold it. Yeah, if you run a broken item or an ick item before the hen on the nest, okay, there you go. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Bringing down the average order of the value on the hen and everything else. Because you're putting in that thought, that you're anchoring that thought in their head that these aren't that great of items. And that's kind of going back to what I was talking about Daisy Lane is she had the same items, but her selling style, the way she sold them changed. That's one way to increase your average order value. She went more towards I'm going to do a storytelling. I'm going to evoke the emotion. I'm going to evoke that connection. I'm going to make you remember grandma with this, or I'm going to make you think, oh man, this history is so cool. And not in a negative way. It wasn't deceptive, but she's telling the history of an item and you're like, man. So you may see an item and at first you're like, hey, that's a really cool purple pen. And then Daisy Lane will start to explain, but do you know where this purple color came from? And she goes into the story about it. And the more she's telling you the story, the more you're like, the value in your head is going up and up and up. You're like, I've got to have that pen. Okay. So you can have the exact same items, the exact same quantity, but change the way you're selling it is one way to increase your average order value. Antiques Roadshow, there you go. And it is that. And I've heard you say it, that you want to be the Antiques Roadshow of whatnot. And I really feel that that's like your style, like that's where you're coming from. Same gross, lower number of items, so increase your quality. We've already talked about this, and that's the route that I chose. I chose to start bringing higher end items, listing them for $1 or starting them at $1. And because I did that, a lot of people are going to be like, ironically, you're going to lower your price in order to make more money. Yep, it works. It works, especially if you have a higher quality item. I talk about this all the time when I talk about dollar starts. You can't bring your crap and do dollar starts and expect it to be successful. Crap is still crap, whether it goes for $1 or $10. Either if people don't want it, they don't want it. And if you don't want it, what makes you think that anybody else is going to want it? So if you have something of value that you're bringing, a fairy lamp that we're going to start for $1, it's going to bid up. So increase the quality. And you're like, oh, but I can't afford all that quality. Okay, well then decrease the number of items. If I can sell half the amount of items but make double my average order value, I have less shipping. At the end of the day, it's more profitable for me than when I'm doing all the work to sell 100 items of lower quality, right? Bundling. Bundling works amazing. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, Tracy, that's cool, but I can't afford to go and buy a ton of fairy lamps or a ton of bee boxes, or they're not out there. What about bundling what you do have? I've talked about this one a ton. How many times do you guys see people sell one cup and then they'll sell the next cup? You're like, those two coffee mugs should have gone together. Or there are two pictures that match and it's one picture and then the other picture. Okay? Why don't you put them together? Don't you think that those two pictures together, and we're all like, yeah, I hate that, are going to command a higher order value than the one picture? They're trying to get to 1K, but they're hurting themselves in the long run. Is getting that instant payout so important over, are you going to cut your own throat and make less money just to get to the instant payout? Like 1K is not that far away. Unless you're handmade making certain items, I think 1K could be very difficult to get to. But let's face it, 1K is not a really, really super high benchmark. And I know all of you under 1K are out there screaming at me and saying, you just don't remember. I do remember, and it's not that high of a benchmark. If you're doing your business, you're applying the principles that everybody talks about, you will get there, and you'll get there in a reasonable amount of time. But if you start bundling, so you think about those two pictures. Here's what happens in the buyer's head. You won't be, there you go. What Liz likes, just beat me to it. You won't bid if the set is broken up. Why? I'll see two pictures and I'll say, oh, I really want those, but I only want them as a set. I don't want to hang just one picture. I want both of those. And in my head, I'm already picturing what wall they're going to go on, how they're going to look in my house. And then the seller goes, okay, we're going to run these individually. I'm out. You know why? Because I may win one and I'm not going to win the other and I've just wasted my money. I would rather not bid on both than overpay, because then in my head I'm thinking, great, now I'm going to have to go way above my price just to guarantee I can get these. So people don't like to be nickeled and dimed. That's it. It's not about the instant payment to me. I feel like nobody looks at you seriously. There is a status to 1K of that you've been around a while, but I think the further you get, you realize it depends on what you're selling. It really does. I have the utmost respect. Some of my favorite handmade people have only sold 300 or 400 things. Because what are they doing? They're selling something that takes forever to make. There's no way they're going to get to the 1K. I would just talked about a lady who's doing a chat show who did 1K in like, I don't know, maybe 10 days or something. Selling playing cards. Nothing wrong with selling playing cards. But your status of 1K playing cards is far, far different than 1K of breakable glass items. Two completely different scenarios. So it's all in perspective, really.
And you also have to think that you're training your audience. You're curating your audience in the process. So if you're getting them used to certain things, that's what the expectation will be later on. It'll be harder to change.
Mm-hmm. So bundling your items together, the things that go together, put them together. Now, this was a hard one for me. I Love Discounts really got on me about this for many, many months before I started bundling. There's instances that I will do things separate. But for instance, okay, these Hummel pictures behind me, I've broken them into sets of 2. There's the girls and the boys. I could do one at a time, but if somebody wants both of them, you know. Do I have a minimum amount of people? No, I do not. We could talk about dollar starts because that's my next thing on increasing your average order value. Reducing your price can ultimately get you more money. So we're going to talk about those dollar starts. I'm not going to ignore that question. I just want to know, put a yes in the chat. If you have ever run something, and it doesn't have to be these exact numbers, it's the concept. Run something for $10, nobody bids, you drop it down to $3, and all of a sudden it gets bid up past the original price, gets bid up to 12 or 15. How many times does that happen? Because you dropped the price. Lowering the price can actually increase your average order value. Again, it goes back to theories taught by Green 13. So it is that phantom ownership. It is one, the first thing, one, as a buyer, I see it's starting at $1. And if you don't like dollar starts, $2, $3, whatever, it's starting at $1. I have a chance to get something of value at a really great deal. As a reseller, that's appealing. As a collector, that's appealing. So you have a broad net of people that you're already very appealing to. You're already capturing their attention because of that dollar start. Somebody bids on it. Okay. Somebody else is like, oh, it's $2. I'll still bid $2. They bid on it. Then it's $3. The next person's like, oh, it's only $4 and it's a $40 item. Yeah, I'll bid $4. I'll bid $5. The people who then have already bid, once you bid on it, once you picture it in your head, once you have figuratively put money on it, I've swiped, that's mine. Like I've kind of bought it because my finger went like this. I've kind of bought that item in my head already. I own it. That's phantom ownership. That's mine. So now we get Bob and Sally going back and forth, and Bob's like, no, that's mine. Sally, nope, that's mine because I own it. Oh, you're not going to get that from me. I'm buying that. It's going to go in my house. That's that phantom ownership, and that starts driving those prices up. So the lower the price can actually increase your average order value. But again, I go back to it has to be something of quality. And that doesn't mean that it always has to be $50, $80 item.
But also you need to be prepared that if it sells for $1, you need to come to terms with that fact as well.
And it may sell for $1. Now, going back to your question of do you have to have a certain amount of people in your room? No, it takes 2 people to bid. Are the odds if there's only 2 people in your room that things are going to sell for $1? Probably so. You don't just start dollar starts without a risk. If you are brand new, I would never suggest doing dollar starts right out of the gate if you do not have a cushion, a financial cushion, in order to absorb dollar sales, okay? Once you start to get people coming into your shows, though, once you start to build up that audience and you have the dollar starts, it only takes 1 person to bid, 2 to have a bidding war, correct? Once you get to that point, you can have 10 people and have a very successful dollar start auction or a whole dollar start show. Green 13 mentions this too. I'm not the only one. I talk about this. Or he's not the only one, but a lot of us talk about this. It's not an all or nothing proposition. You don't have to have a full show of dollar starts or $2 or $3 starts. If you're a $10, $15 person and you want to start to lower your starting bids, do it as a special occasion. Instead of a giveaway, when somebody raids you, do a lower start item. Every now and then, if the room's popping, people are bidding, be like, you know what, I'm feeling great today. Let's run this guy at $1. Play a game with your room. Hey, whoever guesses this trivia thing, and I used to, when I first moved to dollar starts, this is kind of how I started positioning it, is I had different priced items and I played a game. I would play trivia or something else and I would say, whoever guesses the answer, you can pick the next item out of the list that I run for $1. One, they're excited, the chat's involved. More people are like, oh, wait, there's 15 things I can pick from that I can pick which one starts for $1. They're like already bought into this idea. Then whoever gets the trivia question and I'm like, hey, Sherry's, you get to pick which item I'm running for $1. You're picking an item that you want more than likely, or you're picking something popular. You're picking something that's priced pretty high in there. I had a chance to get it at a really good deal. Then we go back to that, all the concepts we just talked about. So you can incorporate it in a way that is not, okay, I'm just doing a dollar start show. Like you don't have to do the whole thing. Try it. But again, focus on the items that you're doing. If you're doing very low value items worth $1, worth $5, $7, maybe put 2 or 3 of those items together. Don't sell a creamer and a sugar bowl. Put them together as a set. Maybe put a tray underneath it. Make it a nice little package where it's like instant decor for somebody. I'm working my way down to $1 starts, but it's mainly because I'm trying to train my brain to accept it. I'm trying not to focus on the phantom loss. And it's very difficult. You make a really good point. Look, my last show, what was it, Wednesday show? I sold like 4 items and everything went for $1. That's pretty unusual. That's pretty unusual that everything went to $1. But then you know what I did? I'm like, what happened? Because on my Monday, Wednesday shows, every now and then stuff goes for $1. I usually sell a little bit lower value items, smaller things that are easy for me to ship. I took a step back and I looked at the inventory. I'm like, Tracy, you didn't offer that great of stuff on that day. That's your fault because my offerings weren't as wonderful. So if you're going to sell it for $1, you have to be willing to accept and be happy for the person who gets it for $1 and ship it to them no matter what it takes. Because if you don't want to put the effort and time into shipping a $1 item, don't sell it. Don't even put it in that show and don't offer it for $1. And then it's not about the individual item. It's about the total. We're going back to our analytics. We're looking at the average order value. That doesn't mean the price on one item. It's the average of all of the items in the show.
And it's also about the experience. Think about the experience that someone just had. They had a great experience with a great item that they're just going to get. And that is priceless because that is going to make them come back to your show.
And speaking of the experience, this is the other ways to increase your average order value. The way that you curate or don't curate your shows. So I find for me, and this is purely how you've got to look internally at your business and your style and figure out the way that you can make this work for you. Because this isn't one of those things you can just copy from somebody else, but understand the principle behind it and then apply it. So if you have, I've taken the approach of having highly curated shows at $1 start. So I have a primitive show. I have a warm embrace, a timeless and elegant, a Saturday glowy glass, which tells people that, hey, if I like primitives, I'm probably not going to find Crocs at the glowy glass show. But anybody who likes glowy glass knows that every single item in that show is going to glow. So through the curation, through the marketing of that show, I'm drawing the people who are willing to pay the prices for those items. And not just, hey, primitive people show up and I'm doing all glowy glass and then they're not going to bid anything. And if they see something cool, they probably don't value it as much as what they would value the things that they like or they just decorate their homes with, right? So curation trust raises average order value. So curating is one way to also increase your average order value. Now, the opposite of that are the completely random shows. But you have to do it in a way where there is intrigue, suspense, surprise, and you have to be just as excited about the items. My opinion is that if you're doing completely random mixed bag of stuff, you're looking, let me explain it like this. On a curated show, I can almost guarantee, let's just be conservative, that 90% of the people who come to the glowy glass show want glowy glass. That's why they're there. There may be 10% that are there to support me, to hang out, whatever, maybe to see the graphics, whatever it may be. But the majority of people want glowy glass. When you're doing just a pure random mixed bag of stuff, even if it's all jewelry or all vintage, how many people on any one particular item that you pull up really want that item? It's probably not 90%. It's probably down to about the 30 or 40% mark. So how you sell it then becomes even more important. The excitement you create, the experience you create in a random show then becomes even more elevated to build that hype to get those items sold and get that average order value up. I have a combination of items and prices. I try to keep the price for bidding when some bangers and buying, but then Swan and Thistle, my biggest piece of advice, and this is not the end all be all, take it or leave it, is that pricing should be one consistent price. That doesn't mean $1, one consistent price. Why do I say that? I'll explain the theory behind this. It's about making buyers comfortable and at ease when they come in your room. If your prices are all over the board, here's what happens. You pick up a cup and you're like, okay, I'm going to run this for $5. You talk about it, you run it for $5. You pick up the next item. Okay, I'm running this for $5, blah, blah, blah. You pick up the next item. So what's happening in the buyer's heads? They're anchoring into those prices, right? The buyer's like, oh, I see $5 after $5 after $5. You pick up something and then in their head, they're like, oh, I like that. And subconsciously, they're thinking $5. I can afford that. Oh, I really want that item. And then you as a seller go, okay, I'm going to run this for 15. Instantly, the buyer's like, oh, shoot, that's not 5. I don't have $15. That's not in my budget. It's this negative connotation. If you have one price across the board, they know what to expect. They don't have to look at price tags on everything. And Crystals, I still think part of it is the experience. I use this example a lot too. So you have all these people in your room, right? Picture this as a circle, the best circle I can make with my arms, okay? You have all these people in your room, okay? How many of this circle could probably afford a dollar bid? Most of them. Your circle doesn't get much smaller. How many people can afford a $5 start price? $10, $20, $30, $40. The more your prices go up, the smaller and smaller and smaller the circle of people gets that actually are willing to bid on it. Okay? So having a lower, even start price helps people. Crystals, I'm not sure why it didn't work. Sometimes things just take time. I really feel that one price. Now, the exception to this where I say, because there's people are going to be like, look, Tracy, I just can't get there. I can't wrap my head around it. I'm not on board with that. And that's okay. If you want to do varying prices, pre-list your items. That way, at least buyers have a chance to ease into it. At least that's like a behavior that they're familiar with. You go to a store and you look at price tags. So it's a behavior they're familiar with. If they're pre-listed, they could then evaluate, oh, I really want this. You know, I have $50 I can spend today. These 4 are in my price range. Oh, I really like that. That's a little outside my price range. And then they're doing that math in their head and they're figuring out, but it gives them time to do it in a comfortable, easy manner, not in 5 seconds, I got to make a decision right now because they're about to run the auction, right? And the price just jumped up. So if you're going to do varying prices, I highly suggest pre-listing. We've been told by other people that having higher priced items in your shop helps the algorithm send higher bidding buyers to your store. I think that's bullshit. I'm just going to call it like it is. I'm sorry for the foul language. I think it's bullshit. Absolutely not. And if you want to know why, go and watch a Green 13 show. Second item out of the gate yesterday or the day before show went for over $400, like $460 something. The item before that was like 13 or 14. It's BS. The algorithm, there's nothing in the algorithm that says price. Go to Whatnot, help.whatnot.com and look at discoverability. Look under discoverability. Price is not mentioned in that. Price is not mentioned at all. You know what is mentioned in discoverability and what draws you to people's show? Activity. Activity is what matters.
Good morning to you, Liv.
Previously mentioned says it right there. Chat activity and sales. The speed at which you run, and this is why some people were saying speed earlier, and it doesn't mean you have to be like 10-second sudden death auction, boom, 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 but you also don't want to be like one every 15 minutes, neither. You can watch the show again. Thank you for asking. We multicast to YouTube, so YouTube, same name, Zoe's Treasures. My husband will put it on the screen. I know who you're talking about, Sherry's. And this is where we, as buyers, as consumers, we must evaluate the quality of information that we get. We must be able to verify it and think it through. I'm not against people, and good morning, Livy. I really feel. I'm not against people charging higher prices. There is somebody I talk about consistently. You probably get tired of me saying her name, but it's Elaine. She sells jewelry. Now, she sells high-end vintage jewelry. Most of her pieces sell for in the hundreds of dollars. You know what she starts a lot of her pieces at? $10 to $20. And we're talking these pieces always sell in the hundreds. Even her chooses to do an even start price. Occasionally, she'll get the piece in and she's like, there's just no way this piece is worth, $900. I'm going to have to start it at $300. But Even that, somebody who's high end and does low starts. Bad information is still good information, but you have to use critical thinking and evaluate what people say. And that's the problem, is most people don't think critically. So, all right, so we talked, that's average order value. So we talked about how curation, pre-listing, I have found, surprisingly, and this is going to be a good topic. We are talking about this exact topic Sunday on the podcast. If you guys don't know, we do a podcast with Green 13 and I Love Discounts every Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. This Sunday, we are talking about pre-listing versus random polls, the theories and principles behind it, why some work, some don't. That whole topic is what we're talking about. I did pre-listing for a while, then I spent about a year of doing solely random polls. And I have gone back to my Saturday shows, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. Saturdays are now a mix of pre-listed and random. I am finding success with having some pre-listed. I'm finding my average order value increased when I went to more pre-listed items than just doing random polls. Now I'm kind of testing that theory. I'm added on a Tuesday show that is 100% random. So I'm really curious to see, as this show kind of gains some traction and moves forward, how that average order value for a 100% random show compares to some of the other shows. So I'm collecting, you can guarantee, Liz, I'm collecting data. And it's not that I'm not going to do the random poll show. It's going to be part of my regular routine, but I may have to change my expectations. Here's the other thing. When you're looking at your data, it helps you, one, to do projections, but also to set the right expectations in your mind. So I have a goal to be making a certain dollar amount on a weekly basis by the end of December. In order to reach that goal, I've done all the math backwards of, okay, if I have, 6 shows a week, which my goal is to have a show every morning at 7 a.m., Saturdays at 8. Right now I'm doing every day but Thursday. If I do these shows, how many items do I need to sell in the show? What's the average order value? Well, not every show is created equal. Today's show is not going to make money like tomorrow's Glowy Glass show where I'm selling stuff. A chat show is far different than a selling show. So I have to look across the board and say, okay, on Mondays, this is the average order. Monday and Wednesday shows, the average order I can expect. This is the number of items that I can sell in that show. I know in order to reach my goal, I need to sell about 350 items at about, a 15 to 16 average order value rate by the end of December. But not every show, not every show is going to be a $16 to $17 average order value. So I start looking then at each individual show in the mix. Okay, if my Monday, Wednesday shows are lower average order value, maybe I need a few more items for there, higher quality on the other days, lower amount of items. So start at your ultimate goal and start breaking it down and working backwards. There is no way I can do that without understanding the data behind it and being able then to apply that data to a mix of shows in order to meet goals in a way that's doable. Because it's not only how many items can I sell on this day, and this day at what prices. It's then, can I ship them? Can I ship them within 2 days? Can I source the amount that I need for those shows? So what I'm sourcing for a Saturday show, that's like the anchor big show, is far different than what I may be sourcing for random, poll shows, right? So understanding your average order value, all of the other metrics that go into it, you can't design stuff like that unless you know where you've been. Do you sell out of your bin when you're not on live? I heard someone speak on this last night saying their buy it now or higher items is selling often. Occasionally I do. I have actually been pulling back the number of items I have in my bin. I've been doing less and less bin because I really would rather focus on the turnover and selling the items quickly. So what you're probably referring to is the marketplace when they're not on. I do have higher value items. I have like a lamp. I have bigger pieces in my marketplace. And the reason I only have them in my marketplace is because I am not willing to do $4.50 shipping on them. They are items that have custom profiles for shipping. I have like a huge wooden duck lamp. If you looked at my marketplace, I have big bowls, like pottery and glass bowls, that I will not put into a show for $4.50 shipping. So they're in the bin, they're priced accordingly, and they have a custom profile. So if somebody really, really wants that item, they're going to have to pay the shipping for it. That's what I use Marketplace for. Honestly, here's my thoughts on the Marketplace. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Marketplace. I'm not using it extensively because if I just wanted to do static listings, there's a million other sites out there that I can do static listings on. I mean, I'm here for the live sales. I use it very sparingly. And my thought process has changed on that. I used to put a ton of stuff in the Marketplace. And it's been, as we grow in business, all of us go through this. We go through growth and evolution in our business to where we start changing our perspectives, changing our processes and the way we approach things. I'm moving more and more away from bin and Marketplace. If I want Marketplace, why am I going to put it on Marketplace and whatnot that typically has a lower value for me than eBay that I can get twice as much for?
And the shipping options are different.
Yeah. So, and most of my customers, most of my buyers are used to a lot reduced shipping. So when they go to my Marketplace and see that they're going to have to pay $20 to ship a lamp or $40, they're like, that's a lot to bite off right there. Go ahead. You were going to say something? Put yourself in the bubble. If you talk, you got to go in that bubble.
No bubble. No, but you have to think about the different options of shipping that you have in this platform versus other platforms. So,
yeah. Now, if you're cross-listing to those other sites, and particularly if you're using a Vendoo or any other cross-listing app, yeah, why wouldn't you? It's a click of a button. Do it. Totally agree with that. If you're already listing them there, you just click and put it here too. Absolutely. Do you think 921 max shipping grows your average sales order? How much does it cost you in the end? 100%. 100%. Now, there's two sides of this coin like everything else. You're going to hear people who say, buyer pays all, never do reduced. It's terrible. If they want it, they'll pay for it. Probably true. But I just want you to think as a consumer. I want you to put your buyer hat on. You have two shows. Pretty much equal. They're both entertaining. They're both sellers you like. They're both selling approximately the same items. So they're equal in all these other things. One of them is doing 921 shipping. The other is doing you pay all. It's a no-brainer. We want to save money. We want to save money. So unless the one doing buyer pays all has something that you're a collector, you just have to have, it's a no-brainer. You are up against think about this, how many people are in your category selling at the same time as you? Every time I go on Advantage, there's probably at a minimum 50 people, I'm guessing, 50 other shows going on at a minimum. People could see that I have $4.50 shipping, or they can go and pay it all. It's basic. Good morning, Hustle Charm. It's very basic buyer behavior. You'll never hear a new seller say not to do max shipping. I mean, there's people who are like, nope, buyer pays all. I don't see a difference. There's a difference. There is a difference. People will buy more when they see free shipping. It's psychological. So the other side of that, how much does it cost me? Right now, I do $4.50. So mine is going to be a little bit different than if it were $9.21 max, right? So for me at $4.50, I pay about 16% of my profit goes to shipping. So for every for every $100 I make, 16 of it is in shipping cost across the board. That's on average. Some shows it may be 18%, some shows it may be 14%. On average, I'm hitting about 16% in shipping cost. Padding your starting bids, your buyers are going to see right through it. Your buyers will see right through it. Why would you do that? So, padding is when if you normally sell things at say $3 starts, but now you're going to offer reduced shipping, so all of a sudden all your pricing goes up to $5 starts. So if somebody comes in your room and they're used to seeing you start things at $3 with buyer pays all shipping, and then all of a sudden you switch to reduced shipping, but your prices go up to $5. Everybody has a brain. Nobody's stupid. They see right through that, and they're like, oh, they just padded their prices. Think about it like this. I started with dollar, and I've gone through all the phases. I feel like I have to justify this in the sense that Whatnot is not my sole source of income. I have the liberty to take more risk because Whatnot for me is extra income. I don't have to pay my mortgage with this. And that's a huge blessing to me in the sense that I can be more riskier in my business. Because of that, I've tried a lot of different things on Whatnot. So I did for the longest time $9.21 shipping, and I had like $5 starting prices. Some of them were varied. I then went down to $9.21 shipping, dollar starts. Okay. Then I went to dollar starts free shipping. When I went to dollar starts free shipping, had I done free shipping and then raised my prices, everybody would have been like, what the heck, Tracy? You're not offering me anything free. You're just making me pay more on the other side of the equation. So I've gone through all of that. So what I'm bringing you is the experience that I've been through. I may have missed this, but what do you think about seller paying all shipping? The seller paying doing free shipping, it was a great tool. Here's the problem with free shipping, and here's the reason I probably won't do free shipping again in vintage, unless it's a special occasion type thing. I did free shipping for 6 months in vintage decor. It cost me about 30%. 28-30% is what I was paying in shipping. I also will contribute dollar starts free shipping to my growth on Whatnot. I exploded when I did dollar starts free shipping. Now 30% may sound a lot to you. The months that I did that, those 6 months were my highest grossing months ever on Whatnot. I made more money in those months than I ever have before. The downside of it is I got a lot of one-time sales. There is zero barrier to the buyers. Zero barrier. If you see you can buy something for $1 and not pay shipping, there is almost zero reason not to swipe on it. That then turned into, I had a lot of people with one purchase. For you as a buyer, that's wonderful. For me as a seller, it kills me with free shipping. It killed me. The only way that free shipping that I was able to bring my percent down was when buyers would buy 2, 3, or 4 items, because I can take 2, 3, or 4 items and ship them for $9.21 versus just shipping one item for the $9.21. And I tried over the 6 months multiple ways: coupons, talking about it, offering any incentive, rewards to get people to buy more. I couldn't make people buy more. So it came into the new year. I was doing jewelry. There's a whole bunch of reasons, but that's probably the downside of it and why I will not do 100% free shipping, only on special occasion shows. So yeah, we talked about the growth. I did feel like I had a ton of growth during that time. Let's talk about, I think we're going to just stick to talking about metrics and how to improve certain metrics. You to expect that for my future, so it's a balance to get growth. It is. Look, you want growth. There are 3 things that I talk about growth: consistency, commitment, and what was the other one? Dedication. Is that the right word? Did I say dedicate? How many categories do you sell in? Is it better to have separate shows for each category you sell, or can you mash up the categories in a show? Good question, Phoenix. So let me finish this thought, then we'll get back. You want growth. It's really about consistency and commitment. That's your growth. Doing the same things over and over and over again. And when you get sick and tired of it and you feel like you need a change, that's about the time that your customer base is recognizing that and they're buying into it at that point. A lot of people give up too soon, or they do 5 shows and say it's not working, when in reality, the people are just starting to say, this is really cool. You just don't realize that people are starting to think it's really cool. It is slow. The problem is we watch people who seem to go to the top within 2 or 3 months, and we expect that. That's not reality for business. If you are consistent and you are committed and you do it over and over and over and over again, your business will grow. But you also, among other things, I mean, that's the base of it. You have to watch your shows. You have to make incremental improvements along the way. You can't just expect people to grow. Look at the quality of your items. Look at your lighting. Look at the whole experience that you're offering. How many categories? So I just sell in vintage decor and I do community shows. It depends what you're selling. If you have a big mashup of items, I would pick a category that represents a mashup. Storage units, estate sales. Those are categories that you may get a swung vase and then you may get some primitive item. Or deal hunting. Right? So you may get some glass and then you may get some clothing. Those are the type of categories if you're going to do a mashup. If you're doing vintage decor, I don't want to see new stuff. Maybe if you're doing vintage decor and you have 1 or 2 contemporary items, thank you for your purchase from the bin. If you're doing one or two, that's not a big deal. But if you are advertising a vintage decor and half of the items you have are new items, people aren't going to come back to your show. They're going to be like, that's not true vintage. Why should I come and see this? So you're confusing people. You want people to, one, the main thing is you think about your buyers. When they walk in your room, they should know what they can expect. What do they expect in pricing? What do they expect in shipping? What kind of experience are they going to get? All of these things you have to communicate to them. The first way of communication is the category that you're in. My friends told you to cancel your anchor show. Good job, Livy. I'm so glad you didn't cancel it.
Phoenix, think about this. I'm going to walk into a Mexican restaurant and most of the things I'm going to see are going to be burgers. If I wanted a burger, I could have gone somewhere else.
Very good analogy right there. They were trying to help. I am glad you did not cancel your anchor show. I cannot tell you, good morning, Medic Girl, how much when I hear other sellers say, and people I respect say, always have a few shows scheduled. Totally agree, 100%. Then the next words out of their mouth are, and if you need to move them, you can move them. No, I want to scream. That's the moment where I'm shaking my phone going, no, don't do that. Every week's perfect. That is so good. That's what builds your show. That's what builds your audience. Do not buy into the hype of rescheduling your shows. No. Don't buy into that hype. Do not clip that, Southern Charm. I know you just did. So it's...
Southern Charm, you don't need to have recorded it.
It's recorded. It's on YouTube. Rescheduling your shows lets your buyers down. How many times are you going to go back to a show that you have saved or bookmarked because you wanted to see it? I'm just going to sum it up really simply. If you as a seller cannot keep your commitment to me to show up when you say you're going to show up, how do I know your products are good? How do I know your word is good? How can I trust you? How do I know you're going to ship? All of those things. You put doubt in my head every time you reschedule your show. Now, life happens, and this is another thing that you've heard me say a million times. It is okay. There is the exceptions when life happens, and there is nothing you can control about it. Don't make the exceptions your norm. Okay? If your exceptions aren't your norm, your buyers will excuse the exceptions, and it doesn't put a bad taste in their mouth. But when that becomes your norm, and you're rescheduling, then you got a problem. And then it's the people doing that, and then they ask, how come people don't come to my show? Because they don't know when you're on and you cancel all the time.
Phoenix, Whatnot usually goes into different shows, and depending on the categories, and when they say they might create a new category for the products that are coming in that are not necessarily categorized properly. So you can also reach out and say, hey, this is what I sell. I don't see a proper category for it. Is there any chance that you can start thinking about this? Put it in their mind.
How many times can it be stood up on a date? Perfect analogy. And then here, Robin says, sometimes I schedule my day around a show. People do this. It is legitimate. People schedule around shows. And then they change it. Now I'm like, man, I could have been out doing whatever it is that I wanted to do, but I moved it for your show, and now you don't show me the same respect. You don't show your buyers the same respect of showing up when you say you're going to show up. Here's the other thing. How many people here from when you started on Whatnot to today can think of at least 3 sellers that no longer are on this app? I can. I could probably name 10 in the last 2 years that have disappeared, if not more. You know who those people are? The ones who weren't consistent. The ones who couldn't commit to this. The ones who were doing shows all over the board and couldn't figure out how to grow because they couldn't be consistent, and now they're gone. If you just pick an anchor show and stick to it like Livy was doing there, like what she was talking about, you already have increased your odds dramatically of being successful. I was talking earlier how I have insecurities when I see other people doing accounting or tax shows, except for Double Tray. She's the exception. She's really cool. Good advice. Totally would listen to her. Other than that, I have insecurities around it. Why? That's my thing, right? Totally human emotion here and being very open and vulnerable about it. But at the same time, the 2 or 3 that have popped up, around tax time, they only showed up at tax time to get you to go to their tax service. They don't stay on here. They're not on here long term. Okay, that's not a threat. I don't got to worry about that. The 2 or 3 other ones, guess what they do? Reschedule shows, reschedule shows, reschedule shows. You know what that told me within about 3 weeks of keeping an eye and watching what was happening? I don't need to worry about that. Why? People aren't going to go because they keep rescheduling. They're not reliable. I'm here every Friday at 7 a.m. It makes a difference. Yeah, Whatnot customer service is hard. You got to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it with them. No? Am I missing the point?
She just missed the mark.
Sorry.
No, do not shut up.
Oh.
Just, it's perfect. Participation is what we love.
Yes, don't shut up. Ask away, you guys. Definitely ask away. But I think my husband answered that, so I will go move on. So how do we increase sell-through rate? So we talked about sell-through rate is how many items you bring to the table versus how many sell, right? We want that to be as high as possible. Tell you what, dollar starts, $4.50 shipping, pretty close to 100% sell-through rate. One of the ways to get a higher sell-through rate, if that's something you're looking to do, is having more of your items sell, is removing any barrier to buying. Make it as easy as possible for the people to buy from you, starts increasing your sell-through rate. So lower prices, one, consistent pricing. So a lot of these things kind of go hand in hand, a lot of these recommendations. If anybody else has ideas on how to increase the sell-through rate, please put it in there. Curated shows, the presentation that you're doing, how you present your item, your words matter, your language matters. I can have just this little purple pen, or I can have this amazing Papermate pen. Don't belittle your items. That will help increase your sell-through rate. Having quality items, running at a good clip. Doesn't mean you have to be Speedy Gonzalez when you're doing your auctions, but you also don't want to be the turtle, right? You don't want to be like, I'm going to talk for 20 minutes and then show you an item. Variety of items from show to show. Having as many new items. Lori, that's right on point here. Having as many new items as you can. How many times are you going to show the same item? If nobody buys it after 3 or 4 shows, maybe it's time to put it away. Maybe it's time to put it away and bring it out in 3 to 6 months. If you go to a show and it's the same stuff over and over and over again, you're going to get sick and tired of seeing it. You're going to see that thumbnail come up and you're going to be like, they always just have the same items. They don't have any new inventory. New inventory increases your sell-through rate. And it takes a while. I know it's difficult as newer sellers. You're like, I need to generate sales to get money to buy inventory. Like I'm in this cycle here and I don't have just all the immediate money to go buy inventory.
Jared was talking about selling it even if it's a loss.
Yeah. So, but having new inventory, having that inventory that's new almost every time, it took me probably 8 months to get to the point where every Saturday I was bringing all new items. All new items. It takes a while, and maybe it means planning every show, setting aside $20 or $30 and building up some money so that you can start to build a little bit of a backlog. The other thing is too, we've been starting to do this lately is my Monday, Wednesday shows are a little different. So if you guys come to those shows, I handle those differently and we'll talk about that. But if for some reason 1 or 2 items don't sell, we did this in the creamer show. There was I think we had 3 creamers that nobody was interested in, even for $1. Okay, Dad normally would tell me, first of all, don't buy that style again because it's not popular. We just took all 3 at the end, put them together and said, okay, $1. That makes it, again, bundling, makes it harder for people to pass up. And guess what? They sold for $6. 3 creamers, $6. I had 1 30-cent charge, and now it's 100% sell-through rate. So think about putting things together if they're not selling. It's okay if those items don't sell after 2 or 3 shows to take a loss on them. A loss is better to get that money, get the cash flow to go and buy something else that will sell. So when you start thinking about that sell-through rate, you want to bring it up as high as you possibly can get it. Now, your sell-through rate is not something people are asking about. Where do you find this information? There is nowhere on Whatnot that gives you your sell-through rate. You have to figure that out. You know how many items you brought, and then you can look at the email that you get from Whatnot that says how many items you sold. If any were bin, you might want to subtract the bin items out to get a true representation. That's a metric that you have to calculate yourself. How many people here look at sell-through rate? How many people feel that's an important metric to them? Just curious. I feel sometimes it's hard to gauge if your items are being seen, if more than half of your shows are dead with people not engaging. That's a different problem. So what you're talking about, Amber, so we got a lot of I do's, just learning about it. Okay. We have a lot of people said they do. Amber, I think that's a different problem. That is not a sell-through rate problem. Your problem comes before sell-through rate then. If that's the case, it is, how do I engage people? Why aren't people staying in my show? You can't even start measuring a sell-through rate until people are in your shows. So what I need to do with that is, all right, I need to go back and look at my show. Why aren't people staying? Is it the quality of items? Is it how I'm marketing the items? Is my mix too broad? Or is it curated enough? Do I have the right tags on it? Is my lighting good? What's my presentation like? How am I as a seller? What's the experience like? Because before you can even get there, this is one of the biggest things with data. It helps you key in onto what the real problem is. So when I read that instantly, my mind is like, that isn't even a sell-through issue. That's an experience issue in the show. Fix the experience issue, then we can look at the sell-through rate. I just try items in different curations and do some trains at different times to try them. I just try in different curations. I'm not sure what you're talking, Livia. I'm missing what you're saying. But so some people have never heard that term. So think about it. In retail, like a sell-through rate, the equivalent is inventory turnover in retail. How many times, if you go to a brick and mortar, do you want the same inventory sitting there? They want their inventory. They have, depending on the type of retail, standards for different products, that those items should be turning over in 2 or 3 days. Ours should be turning over on every show.
This is popular.
Yes.
You want to sell it over and over again.
So the only time that you, and even then, my husband's like, unless it's a popular item, like this also helps you judge what sells too. Your sell-through rate is going to help you judge what to buy, how to source. So if I have a 50% sell-through rate, what is my mind going to tell me to do next? I'm going to look at that 50%. What is it that people bought? What is it that people are not buying? Why aren't they buying these items? Maybe I don't need to source them. Maybe they're bad sourcing decisions.
Think about this. A couple years ago, we had the pandemic. What was one of the items that was selling through the roof? Face masks. Not even TP, face masks. And then what happens now? You don't see them anymore. I walked into a store and they were selling masks out there with zoo. Exactly. So that's the kind of thing, if you see something and you see that it's being popular, you want to restock it and take advantage of that trend, that's precisely one of the things that you can look at. But if not, right now, they're not popular anymore.
And that's what previously mentioned, said it too. Looking at sell-through allows you to determine what to source more or less. And then Crystal kind of backed it up. Perfect example of your, at Costco, you want that rotisserie chicken because it sells. It has a good sell-through rate. So they're going to keep doing it. Same thing with you. What does sell, you're going to look at, I need to buy more of this or more of that style. If you're in a category like vintage decor, you might not get the exact same items, but you're going to get butter pads, or you're going to get similar type things. And what didn't sell instantly, you start knowing, okay, well, I need to back off on sourcing those items. And then look at that 50% and say, okay, what do I need to do to sell these? What can I bundle together? What can I present in a different way? Which I think Livy kind of touched on is, okay, if it doesn't sell the first time, how do I then present it differently to sell? What can I do to make it sell? And now I know not to buy that again. But with vintage, it's a need or want, desire, impulse. It's so cool. I want it. Grammy G, true, but it's not, again, I'm going to go back to, it's not even necessarily about the products. I know we're talking a sell-through rate, but part of that sell-through rate is the experience you're creating. The sell-through rate, the item yourself, that's one piece of a bigger puzzle. So you can focus on your sell-through rate with more curated items, lower prices, show tags, presentation, all of that, but that's just a piece of a larger puzzle. they're buying that experience from you too. Trends are so fly by. At times I feel like their Labubus were huge. Exactly. Watch the trends to the sense of don't get caught up on a trend and overbuy a trend. I saw, for me, Butter Pats decline, and then they kind of came back up. So when I saw Butter Pats decline in my shows, my average order or the bidding price went down on Butter Pats. I wasn't seeing as many pre-bids on them. I didn't buy as many. And then I would test the waters every now and then, or I would watch other shows and see, are they coming back? And guess what? Now the prices are back up again, and Butter Pats are, at least for me, starting to climb again. So it's watching what's happening and being reactive and proactive to the trends, but don't just follow trends. Oh, you broke two. Oh, I broke a teapot cleaning it the other day. It happens to all of us. Mary says, I concentrate on my customers, not how much they spent, and make sure they enjoy the show. Exactly. Average order, it does when people are valued. And we'll talk about the repeat. Right now, you're talking about, for me, that's a repeat buyer thing. And we're going to talk about that one next. Let me just click I'm missing some comments here. Butter Pat depends on what part of the country you're on. I can't find bee boxes to save my life at all. Butter Pats, I've been pretty lucky lately coming across Butter Pats. I think that's the first giveaway we ran because I always forget. But it is our CEO affirmation packs. We'll run a few before we get out of here. Did you get that lot of butter? I did not. I was bidding at auction on a lot of Butter Pats. It was actually state bird, so it was a whole collection, every single state Butter Pats with the state bird on it. So a huge collection. I think I put my max bid at like 175, and they went for like 190. I was like, nope, I'm out. Even 175 for me was really high to pay on Butter Pats, but I thought it was a really cool collection, and I could have made a whole show out of it, and felt that I would have got my money back, but nope, it went too high. I couldn't get that. And I missed out on the hat pins auction yesterday. I tried to get hat pins. They had like 20 different lots of these. Every single lot, the lots were like 2 to 4 hat pins per lot. Every single one was over $40. And I just couldn't go that high for a resale. I have my limits, and I couldn't go. One is a Butter Pat. So a Butter Pat is a small round dish, usually about 3 to 3 1/4 inches in diameter. And they used to use it as a place setting piece, and you would put a piece of butter on there. So everybody would have their own individual butter to butter their bread. That's a Butter Pat. They were really popular back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Then we just don't see them because we're not as formal with our meals anymore. But they are making a huge comeback because they're really cool to display, fun ways to use them. I have no idea why they're so collectible, but I'm going with it. I don't collect them. I have one in my personal use that I use to put my spoon on when I'm mixing my coffee. So we have some. If you guys want Butter Pats, here is one right here. I have 3 in my show tonight at 6 o'clock on the Raid Train. This is a Flow Blue Butter Pat. This is in the show tonight. So I think Southern Charms already bid on this. I know I love your discounts. I know you like that Flow Blue. All right, let's talk about repeat buyers. So we've got a little bit of time. Who here focuses on repeat buyers? Is that one of your metrics? Yes or no, if repeat buyers is something that you're focused on? They would be good for tea bags, yeah. Nice. Absolutely. So a lot of people are like, yes, 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 maybe a little bit of a no. Haven't thought about it. Repeat buyers form the foundation of your business. Your repeat buyers are what is going to carry you through. Think about if you're not somebody who focuses on this, just take a second, think about your shows. I'm sure you can name 5 people who almost show up all the time and buy almost every single show. Now, this may change too. Your repeat buyers, your core group may change. They'll ebb and flow throughout the course of your business. Like, you're like, I don't know why I'm getting repeat. You want repeats. Repeat buyers are the ones who are going to show up almost every show. They're going to chat in the chat, even if they don't buy anything. Then when they do buy something, they're the ones that are your core, the ones that are going to keep coming back. And typically they do start, purchasing from you, obviously, as a repeat buyer. They're the ones typically that are going to bid first. that opens that door and shows that it's safe to bid, so the new people in your room feel more comfortable. Think about how many times have you been in a room, brand new seller, you go into a room, somebody you don't know, and you're going to hold off bidding until you see, are other people bidding? Because how do you feel if you're like, nobody's bidding? The prices are decent. Why is nobody bidding? Doesn't it make you start questioning like what's wrong, right? So think about how that applies to your room. Your repeat buyers already know you. They're comfortable with you. They trust you. They're the ones usually that are going to bid right out of the gate on your first 1 or 2 items. Get that ball rolling. They're going to be talking in your chat. Your repeat buyers are going to be the ones where if you do miss an anchor show, you're going to get a message from them and they're going to be like, are you okay? Where are you? Why isn't your show on? They're the ones that are going to be talking about you in other shows. Your repeat buyers are the ones that are going to be speaking your name at tables that you're not at. Your repeat buyers helps the vibe in your room. Thank you for your purchase from the bin. So you have to really focus in on your repeat buyers. There is such the importance of your repeat buyers. Does everybody here know, first of all, how do you figure out your repeat buyers?
Thank you, Liv.
Nobody knows how to look at your repeat buyers? Shop Happy, thank you so much for coming in.
Welcome in, Raiders. Glad you can join us on this business and tax discussion.
Sandy, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Shop Happy, thank you for bringing your friends over. My name's Tracy. This is Zoe Treasures. We are doing our business talk show. We are talking about various metrics, how to improve them. Shop Happy, please put all your details in the chat. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, what you sell, when your next show is, all the good stuff, please, so they can bookmark and follow you. Okay, so repeat buyers. Because Whatnot doesn't tell you. Whatnot doesn't tell you how many repeat buyers you have. What Whatnot tells you is how many new buyers you have. But you can look and see how many buyers you had in total. Pull up your analytics screen. You can pull up your shipping screen. Go to your shipping screen. You can count and see how many orders you have, right? Or not orders, how many buyers, how many shipments you're doing. Subtract out your new buyers. The new buyers come in that email that Whatnot gives you. Now you have your repeat buyers, okay? If you take your repeat buyers divided by the total buyers, you get a repeat buyer percent. How do we encourage our repeat buyers? Before having repeat regulars, my first few minutes had no sales. Now the repeats know your best stuff, starts the show, and they buy right away. That's it, Mary. That's the value. That's part of the value. These are also the people that they're coming back over and over again. It's not just one sale. It's not just a $10 sale. It's $1,000, $1,500, $3,000 over the course of a year. These are the people that are making up a bulk of your income that you have. You should be taking care of them to the utmost degree. You have to remove your friend. Don't remove your friends. Southern Charm is a friend of mine. I Love Discounts. They're both repeat buyers of mine. They keep coming back again and again. And just because you have a repeat buyer doesn't mean that they're going to buy at every show. But they're the regulars that you can count on. They're the ones that help carry your show through the slow times when you just can't get a lot of inventory and you're doing more chat shows and selling shows because the inventory sucks at the moment. These are the ones that when life gets hard, when you're sick and have the flu and you're gone for a week, guess who are the people that are going to show up on that very next show when you come back after being out for a week? It's those repeat buyers. It's the base that you've built. Daisy Lane just made a good point. Let me read this here. Everything you do and how you take care of doing it matters. Yes, absolutely. But it's a false percent. Hold on, let me wait. I think I have to remove. No, it's not. If your friends are coming there, are they buying from you? Are they coming to support you consistently? As long as they're purchasing it, it doesn't have to be every single show. Southern Charm comes to almost every single one of my shows. Does she buy in every single show? No. But she's been buying for a consistent year and a half, right? Yeah. Yeah, a sale is a sale. So let's start talking. What are ways, I want you guys to put in, what are ways you encourage repeat buys? Some of the ideas that I came up with, coupons. You know I love me a good coupon. I think coupons, my reward system, the whole reason we do giveaways is to send a coupon to encourage somebody to come back and buy again. Coupons are huge. Any ideas on how you guys encourage your repeat buyers? Here's one that I don't think a lot of people think about. your charming personality. Absolutely. The experience you create, 100%. Shop happy. What about a call to action? If you have a first-time buyer, how do you turn them into a repeat buyer? Acknowledge them by talking to them. Call their name out, that connection. Yes. Putting on a good show. So we know the experience for sure. People love to hear their names, even if they don't think they do. That's one of the reasons I read names. It makes a person feel special. Like Crystal says, also these people were usually buyers before friends. So buying again is normal. Absolutely. The better the repeats know you, the more fun the chat is. And then if the chat is fun, you guys have some inside jokes, but you're like letting other people in on these jokes. You're going on and on. The people come in your room like, oh, I want to be a part of this. It's like going into a party where everybody's sitting in the corner reading or like on their phones, or a party that they're mingling and talking in, right? You want to be a part of it. You want to have that experience. So the more that you have the people in your room talking, my husband looks at me because I'm an introvert and I would not love that experience. But in general, a lot of people do love that experience. Here's the one that I don't think a lot of people think about. When you have a first-time buyer, in order to turn them into a repeat buyer, in order to turn into somebody who's coming over and over, call to action, CTAs. How many of you tell the people in your room what you expect them to do next? Such as, at the end of your show, please go and bookmark this show. Please come to my glowy show tomorrow. Hey, you guys, I want you to go take a look at the bin. I have X, Y, or Z in the bin. Call to actions. If you're not expressing what you want and your desires for the room, you're not calling them to action, why would they do it? Okay? It's important. And a lot of people, you always forget to do that. Did you hear my dog brought a baby bunny? Oh, my goodness. That's how you met your friend Misty. We're in a show having... There you go. Now you text daily. So call to actions, you guys. A lot of people avoid call to actions. Yeah, send me a screenshot. I would love to see it. They feel cheesy. I'm going to admit it. It feels cheesy when I do it. It takes time to be comfortable. Some people are natural at it. Some people don't even think about it. There's a lot of us that we feel very cheesy asking our room to do something. But it's like they're not mind readers. No, none of you here knows what I want you to do besides the ultimate fact of buy stuff, right? We know when we go into a seller's room, the seller wants you to buy stuff. Besides buy stuff, if I'm having a special show next week and I really want you there, if I don't tell you that, how do you know that? We have to remember to do calls to actions at various times throughout the show, particularly when you're closing a show. But when you see your number hit a high, do a call to action. When you see your number hit a high and you're showing an item and you're like, oh, you guys like this coffee cup? Did I remember to tell you I'm doing a coffee cup show next week? It doesn't have to be cheesy. You can incorporate it into your general talk without it being like this big salesman-y pitch. But they don't know if you don't ask. I like to celebrate the first-time buyer. I ring my bike bell and then have a little saying. That's sweet. There should be something for first-time buyers all the time. I forget Tuck's in the chat. Thank God I have Southern Charm and I love discounts and many other people that remind me. My husband will play the graphics.
Thank you for your first purchase.
My big self leaned back in my chair and it broke. Oh no. I mean, I bet it was funny, made it for a good laugh. And someday you'll look back and talk about that story. But singing to them and what Liz likes, rating with a party of 15.
Welcome in, Raiders. Glad you can join us on this business and tax discussion.
What Liz likes, thank you so much for bringing your people over. My name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are talking about metrics and ways to improve certain metrics. Liz, please, I know everybody knows who you are. You're back. Thank you for coming back. And I know people know you, but just in case they don't, put in all your details, who you are, what you do, what you sell, what show do you want them to bookmark and come and see you on. Thank you so much. All right, some of the other ways to get repeat buyers, to encourage people to come back. Consistency. They can't come back if you don't show up. Follow me if you're cool. That's it. All the cool kids, what Liz likes, 100% true. She's an OG. I watched her when I first started. Highly, highly recommend. Consistency, more connection. People said it multiple times. Connecting with the people in your room. Coastal Peacock, good morning. John, good morning. Reduce shipping. I know, bad words to some people. Reduce shipping will get people to come back. Post-show engagement. Who has any ideas on post-show engagement? What can you do post-show to help somebody come back? Quality items. The items need to be as you described them on the air. There's nothing worse than getting an item that has something wrong that wasn't talked about. Respond to reviews is a good one. Tober, congratulations, you got that giveaway. Thank you notes. I would just write thank you.
Congratulations.
I don't think thank you notes are sustainable long term. I don't think they're a bad idea. I don't think they're sustainable. Clean professional packing. Yes, pack them well. Make sure they experience even after the show is just as good. Oh, well, Heathers, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you found us. I hope you come back. Branding. If they don't know who they bought it from, how do they know to leave you the review and then to come back? Amber, that's such an important point. Put a sticker on the box, put a packing list. Make sure there is something in that package that identifies you. Something. I don't care what it is. If they just see Tracy, they're like, who in the hell is Tracy? But if they see Zoe's Treasures, oh, now I remember who I got this from, right? Packing list. So there's ways to encourage after the sale. So your post-sale engagement, a lot of it's tied in shipping. Here's the other thing. How many of you look at your analytics? On your analytics screen, they're going to give you your top 10 buyers broken down by dollar amount and by number of orders. How many of you ever do anything with that list? Do you ever go and look at it? Reach out to these people with a special coupon code, a private show, a thank you note, something as simple as a DM saying, hey, you were in my top 10 buyers this month. Thank you so much. What a great opportunity we have. Now, I've been hit or miss with that. I'll be completely honest. I've been hit or miss. Some months I'm really great. Other times I'm like, it's halfway through the month and I'm like, man, I didn't even go back and look at that. Custom cards and all the packages. Whatnot gives you that information for a reason. The top 10, your repeats, these are the people that you want to make sure you're reaching out to in some way, shape, or form, right? Remembering what they bought when they come in your show. I'm terrible at this. I have a bad memory. But like, hey, Southern Charm, did that crock get to you? Oh, I'm so glad you like it. You know, things like that. I prefer a branded card way more than a candy. 100% Liz. I like being reminded of who I bought from and how to find them. 100%. I can care less about that Hershey Kiss or that mint that you put in my package. I would much rather have a packing list with your name on it or like a little business card or a flyer or something that I can throw on my desk to remind me to do the review, remind me, oh, I want to bookmark their shows. I really like that item, because I will not remember your name probably. I just won't. And neither will a lot of other people. Yep, use your net on your return address. Absolutely. That's so basic and so many people don't do that. If you want your full name on your return, then just put your username in front of it. So mine just says Zoe's Treasures, but it could say Zoe's Treasures Tracy. You're allergic to, yeah, don't send me the candy. Send me something so I can remember who you are. And it's cheap, you guys. You can print little stickers on your thermal printer. You can buy stuff. I buy my rewards cards at Canva. I spend like $80 a quarter. That may sound like a lot, but I'm getting 900 cards for $80. It's not really in comparison, right? For the quantity that I get. It's not expensive. You can get cheap marketing materials. Put your anchor show in the note. Let them know if you were on a rate chain, where to find you on a regular basis. I love that, Livy. Can I show my card? So
Thank you, Liz. Thank you.
These are my rewards cards. So I do rewards cards for every box that leaves my house. We put a rewards cards. I have 9 a quarter that I do. So this is first quarter, numbers 1 through 9. Second quarters are blue, 10 through 18. And I just got the purple ones. I don't have them right now. Each quarter is a different color. Each card is worth $2. There is a code on the back of the card with $2. Also, if you actually turn it around and read it, it will tell you this is card 10. And it'll say down here, save this card and combine it with cards 11 and 12 for $6 off. So this card is worth $2. Combine it with the other two, it's worth $6. Then in every show, if you go down to my show notes, I randomly pick card combinations of cards worth anywhere from $5 to $8, and that discount will increase as the year increases. So the more you buy, the more cards you get, the more money you save. There, Mary, oh my gosh, we just talked about this in the last show. One of the best marketing ideas is to actually have a name that is easily pronounced. Easily pronounced. Mary Lack, super easy to read. Livy Will, very easy to read. I told you about how I slaughtered Old Maid New Creations, and I called her Old Maiden throughout the whole show, and about died of embarrassment afterwards when I was shipping and realized her name wasn't Old Maiden. It was Old Maid New Creations. It's because there was no spaces, no maybe you can't use dashes, no underscores. Make your name so people can read it. If you have a name and people are slaughtering it show after show after show, that may be a sign to come up with a new name or to change it slightly so it makes it easier to read. What it likes? Oh, what? Okay, yeah, I could see that. It's easy to miss the L in there with the Ember Curated Market, Fern, etc. Yeah, it's hard. It's calling Barbara Barbar. We all make mistakes. Some of the names are hard. So just very good point, Mary. Very good point. Deb's Sweet Country Home. But it's been your name forever. I mean, people probably just shorten it to Debs. I would just call you Debs. So, all right. Let's talk about one more final metric, because I did, when I asked at the beginning, somebody said net profit as a metric. We're all here, we're a business, we're all here to make money, right? We all, at the end of the day, want to make some money. So if net profit, the amount of money that you get to keep at the end of the day is the metric that you're focused on, one, I would question that's probably one of the most complicated metrics to focus on, that focusing on an average order value or some of these other ones to begin with are easier. But if you're focused on net profit, there's only two ways to change net profit. Two. I'm going to make this as super simple. This is like the magic. If you want to make more money, you either bring more money in. So at the end of the day, if you want more money in your pocket, you either make more, so you bring more in, or you spend less going out. So in simplicity, I mean, on the face of it, it sounds super, super easy. But now that we know it's either I'm bringing more in or I'm putting less out, now we can start drilling down. I start with the expenses. And I start looking through every single expense. What can I decrease? What can I spend less money on? What can I pull back on without affecting my quality or my customer service? What am I just wasteful in? Okay, that right there, one, is going to increase your net profit. The other thing then is to start looking at revenue. So then when we go to revenue, we start drilling down into average order value, repeat buyers. So we start, okay, where is the problem in my revenue? Is it a certain type of item I'm selling that's not working? Is it how much I'm getting per item? Usually focusing on the others, well, there you go. That's it, Crystals. Usually focusing on the others will increase your net profit. And that's why I say it's kind of the hardest one. And when you start looking at it, you usually end up looking at the others anyways and fixing those to begin with. It's usually not net profit that's your problem. It's a lot smaller pinpointed issue that's your problem. So, all right, you guys, we've been here for a while. We're probably going to move on here. I'm going to... I kind of didn't read a whole bunch of the stuff, but we're good. I think we had a great conversation. I do want to do a call to action and ask you guys, if you enjoyed the show today, if you got anything out of this, if you just had a good time or maybe you learned something, I encourage you, please share it with a friend. Let them know where they can watch it and invite somebody to come back next week. That's my ask of you, is to bring a friend back next Friday. Next Friday, we are talking about a mid-year vision check. We're halfway. Next Friday is week 26, smack dab in the middle of the year. What a great time to check in, see where we are, and let's make some plans on where we're going. Any tips on finding moderators? Phoenix Holistic, one, I would reach out to anybody you know first, if you have a friend or a relative. And then if not, do you have a customer or two that has been a regular that chats and helps you out? I would ask them. That would be my tip on finding moderators. Thank you guys for coming. Let me do our CEO affirmation. So I always read this at the end. So our CEO affirmation is, I track the metrics that matter and expenses that add up because clarity drives better decisions. It's all about how we're going to manage our business. I'm going to be back on 6 o'clock tonight. We are doing the Ray Train 20-minute slot. It's pre-listed. Everything behind me is on that train. And then 7 tonight, we're talking about expense tracking and best practices to track your expenses. That's our tax talk tonight. With that, let's go find somebody to raid. Thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And let's see who is on. You know what? I talked a lot about Green 13 today. We're going to go see Green 13. He's doing storage unit finds. Y'all, a lot of what I said, he demonstrates. I learned a lot of it from him. So if you want to see a lot of these principles in action, don't go nowhere. And ducks in the chat, you guys. When we get there, let's flood them with ducks in the chat. Thank you for reminding me.